Well, it takes the hard work of a lot of people at Town Hall to make West Bloomfield Township run as smoothly as possible. Joining us now is one of those hardworking folks. That is Township Supervisor Steve Kaplan. Steve, thank you so much for joining us today.
Good morning, Larry. I hope you braved the storm.
I did. So yeah, we were touching on the storm last night. I know you guys were just beginning the township board meeting when that hit. So what was the experience around 6 p.m. for you folks?
Right at 5:57, we learned from your office that the generator was about to be activated, but that the power was off. And that delayed our meeting. It's the first time in 6 years that we began a meeting after 6. We're normally punctual. We began the meeting at 6:07. People at the meeting, Larry, were concerned because they could hear high winds and rain. And one never knows. You walk into the parking lot, there might be 4 fallen trees, but there weren't here at Town Hall.
So are you still getting some calls this morning from folks with some power outage issues and wondering about school closings and things like that?
Sure, mainly school closings and wondering whether we are open at Town Hall. And we are. We have a super generator, Larry, and we're comfortable and confident that we can maintain business even with the power outage.
Yeah. So, Steve, a subject that's becoming a bit of an issue here in West Bloomfield, as it is around all of Michigan, and that's about deer and the number of deer that are kind of roaming around in the area. And there's something called the Deer Coalition that's going to try to address the overpopulation. Could you talk a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, spearheaded by Oakland County, 7 municipalities in the area, including West Bloomfield and Farmington Hills, are part of the Deer Coalition. This arose because residents, not all, were concerned about the proliferation of deer on roads. People are upset for 2 reasons about the growing number of deer in the area. One, of course, would be motor vehicle collisions, and I'll return to that in a moment. And secondly, some residents do not appreciate the deer, stampeding on their gardens and eating their food. And back to the, if I may, back to the deer motor vehicle collisions. We have had 91 collisions in West Bloomfield through June 30. And fortunately, Larry, we have not had a serious injury or fatality, but we all know that a deer can crash through the windshield, happens from time to time, and could cause death of a motorist or a passenger.
Yeah, it is a problem. I mean, it was funny. This was in West Bloomfield. I was around, it was Middle Belt, and I can't remember what the cross street was, but it was like 5 o'clock in the evening, afternoon, and there was a gigantic buck just crossing the street as slow as me. I'm like, how is that buck in West Bloomfield?
And Larry, you passed that buck.
I did. Yes, I did. That's how I usually do it too, Steve. So, Steve.
Now, on the other hand, if I may, there are people who love the deer. They enjoy watching them in their backyards, seeing them interact with one another. So it's probably a 50-50 split among those in the township who have an opinion about whether we have a deer overpopulation here.
So, Steve, before we let you go, I don't think we've spoken to you since the tragic death of Township Attorney Mike Salhaney. Could you talk a little bit about what Mike meant to West Bloomfield, not only as an employee, but as a great friend to so many people there?
It's common where you talk about a person who died much too soon, about how wonderful that person was and how much he'll be missed. But in this case, it's true. Michael Salhaney worked for a law firm. He's a partner in a law firm, and that law firm provided general attorney services to the township. Townships cannot afford to have attorneys on staff because of the legacy and other costs. But Michael Salhaney had been with us since 2015, and he was cherished by our staff, a very intelligent person, and good demeanor. He attended our township board meetings, and from time to time, he would even speak to residents on our behalf. Just a mild guy, and he died doing something he loved. He died doing something that was important to the community, and that was he was part of a cycling team of 5 cyclists in Ionia County, which over a 3-day period, Larry, rode for 320 miles. Imagine that. Some people can't even drive a car 320 miles in 3 days, but he was part of this cycling endeavor, and he was hit by a female motorist, as you know. She was under the influence of drugs, and she passed a UPS truck and crashed into 5 cyclists, including Mike. So we will miss Mike, and I mean, it really is irreplaceable. Not just because of his legal work, but because of his great personality and caring nature.
Yeah, and anyone wants to take a look, just a couple of hours before the accident, he posted a video and he was talking all about what he was doing there that day. And if that doesn't inspire people to live their life in a certain way, I don't know what can,
His last words on that videotape, which was recorded at 9:30 on July 30, and then he died or was struck at 10:45, an hour and 15 minutes later, his last words were, "Be safe, everyone." And that just shows his caring nature.
Well, Steve, we want to thank you so much for joining us this morning on the Splash Live. It's always a pleasure to speak with you.
Thanks, Larry. Great job by you as always. Have a good week.